This is the best time to start posting on the platform Bluesky, which is a potential competitor to Twitter. But the biggest problem is their API is confusing as hell, which took me hours to figure out. So that is why in this video I'm going to give you a complete guide on how you could automate your Bluesky posting using their API. I've got the blueprints ready for both make.com and n8n, which I'm going to give away for completely free so that you could just get this working literally in the next few minutes without wasting any of your precious time. If that sounds interesting, let's get started. So as you can see, this is the scenario that we've built on make.com to create the post on Bluesky, and this one is the flow that we've done on n8n. So you'd be getting access to both of these for completely free, as I've already said. So yeah, so let's get started. So first, what this module does is it gives us the post, like the text and the media URL. So I have these in this database, in this Google Sheets over here. This video is more about how we could use the Blusky API to create the post. I mean, to make that publishing of the post possible in an automated way. So it's not going to be about how you can create the image, how you can create the content, not about how you could create the content, but basically publish it. So yeah, so when I say run this once, you'd see that I'm getting this information from this specific sheet over here. And then what we do is we download the media URL, which is right over here. So this is going to be the photo. So this part, this database over here. So what I did was, like, I had an RSS feed running, and we take all the news from the anime and put it inside this RSS feed. Okay, so I've just for now just taken a sheet and just added 2 of those. So yeah, just for this the purpose of this video. So you can see that we've got the image link over here. When I try to open it, we just open up over here, right? So we download that, and then we just send it to this module over here, which is default within make.com, and convert it to JPG format. Okay, and then what we do is we optimize the file. This one is used for reducing the size. Let me add a note. It's used to size of the image less than 1 megabyte. All right, so Bluesky, I think they've got like 1 or 1.1 megabytes. So the image should be less than that. The size of the image should be less than that. So if it is more, Bluesky would reject it. The API wouldn't accept that. So if you're sure that your image is going to be always less than 1 MB, you can feel free to remove this. But sometimes I don't think we always have control over that. So it's better to always have this module over here. So that it could just optimize the file and reduce the file size. Yeah, and then here comes the main part, that the only part that you gotta change. So over here, like, we gotta just enter the username, the user ID, which is the email ID, and the password that you've used to create your Bluesky account. So this is my Bluesky account that I just recently created, as I'm also just getting started with this platform. So yeah, so this is basically, I'm not going to open it because I've got my credentials inside that. So it's just the the email ID and the password that I've used to create this account. That is all I just got to put inside. You got to put inside when you get this blueprint. And then what I do is we just create a session based on what this Blusky API tell you. We just create the session. I really feel uncomfortable going through this document because I feel like it is kind of like a complete mess. I feel like now they've made it a bit better, but by the time when I was getting this done, it was a complete mess. And yeah, so coming back over here, we just create a session over here, and then you see we've got the email and the password, which I've just got it in the previous module. And then I put the email and the password, and then we create the session. And then we upload the image that we get from Cloud Convert. So once we we get the output after it gets optimized from Cloud Convert, and then you see we upload the blob. They say it as blob. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, they just upload it. We just upload it as a blob. Yeah, once we do that, we just got to enter the authorization and the bearer that we just get from the previous one where we created the session. We just get the access token and then put it inside this one for authorization. And after that, we just say image, JPEG, and after that, we just say the data. All right, once we do the uploading of the image, then what we do is, I think both of these are kind of the same. So I'll explain why I've got this ChatGPT over here. So, and then we just try to, reference that specific image that we've uploaded and then create the post. So we are creating a session, uploading the image, and then, creating the actual post by referencing the image that we just uploaded. So as you can see, this is the format that we use over here. So I see the repo, this value that I just got from the login, and this is the text, basically the text that this is basically the text that we are actually posting, the captions or the description of the post. All right, and then the created ad, I'm just putting the current date, and at the bottom for the title of the image, I'm just putting in the title that we get from the Google Sheet. That's not really necessary. You could just put in any damn value you want. And over here for the link, we just reference the image that we get from over here. We just get from the place where we just uploaded, this one. Okay, so this is what we're just gonna put inside this one. And then the MIME type is basically the type, whether it's JPEG or PNG. In this case, it's always going to be JPEG, because I think that is what is the best idea. Because if you're trying to upload like a variety of image, this automation would always convert it to JPEG and then use it, because I think it was creating some sort of issues with the PNG and other file formats. Yeah, so here you've got the MIME type, and then you've got the size. All these three, 1, 2, 3, these three are we just get them once we upload the image into this. Once we get them, we're just going to reference it over here, and that's it. And then comes the most crucial part, which is the aspect ratio of your image. So the main part this is where I was not able to get this done in the firstly. I think I've emailed the team and they said like they've missed it in the documentation or something, and then finally I was able to find them in the documentation, and you see it is right over here. I think they've added it recently only, if I'm not wrong, and which is we gotta specify the ratio of the image what we're using. Only then it would create the post in a proper manner, or else the image would just look in a different way. For example, it would look something like this. You could see, so this is the image, but you could see that there are some borders because it aligns that image based on the default aspect ratio, which I think is 1:1. Yeah, so what the image that we are using is 16:9. So if they don't specify it, it would just create the post in this specific, in this look, which doesn't really seem pleasant, right? So we just gotta mention whatever aspect ratio you're trying to upload. So if you're trying to upload some 16:9 or 9:16 vertical or horizontal, you just got to mention that clearly over here. In my case, I upload only these two types of images, so I just clearly mentioned them over here. Now you might have a question asking that I upload like a variety of image with different sizes and aspect ratios. How would I specify this one, right? So in that case, what you got to do is there is some library that is mentioned over here. Yeah, Pillow. You can see to get the aspect ratio, you'll need a library like Pillow specifying the correct aspect ratio, which will, so you just got to create like a script, a code that specifies the aspect ratio for you once you feed in the image. See, maybe you can just create like a Python script, that is hosted on, convert into Firebase function, and then you could just upload the image and get those information from make.com. All right. Or I think there should be something that specifies the format of the image, but I don't think there's really any way for that. but doing it in this specific format over here, but doing it using this function would be the better choice, because that is what is recommended over here. And once you get the aspect ratio, you'd be able to dynamically map it into this module over here, so that like whatever type of images you upload, like you would just get the width and height and then just map it over here. Or else an easy straightforward method would be like, whenever you're trying to upload an image into this, you could just manually manually say the aspect ratio for that. You could just manually say just mention the aspect ratio by yourself, and then once you mention that, you could just dynamically take it from over here and then just map it inside this. I tried using ChatGPT for this, but I don't think it really worked. Yeah, so I'm just trying to give like a different ideas that you could use if you're trying to map this dynamically. All right, so once we create the post, we just update the Google Sheet as posted. I mean success over here. We just update it over here. Success failed skip. There are 3. Okay, now it's time to run this. Before that, let me explain this. The other important thing is we just gotta always make sure that the length of the post is less than 300. You see, if it is not 300 and more than 300, I mean the characters are more than 300, in that case it would just error out. The Blusky API isn't going to accept that, because that is the limit. All right, so for Twitter I think it is 250 maybe, but for this one it is 300. So this is the idea. So what I've done over here is, if it is less than 300, we just go and create the post. If it is more than greater than 300, I send it to ChatGPT and make ChatGPT to shrink that, to summarize and make it less than 300, so that it is able to post it inside Blusky. And then I just put the ChatGPT text in the text part. I just put the ChatGPT inside over here. Okay, let me run this now. I'm gonna run this, and here's my Blusky account right here. It is the Cloud Converter is optimizing the file, and you see it is using the ChatGPT because the length is more than 300, and then we get a 200 success. And let me go to Blusky over here, refresh the page. Oh, we just got the post over here. So we've got the post over here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is how the Blusky API is going to work. So yeah, so now let me explain about how this works on n8n, which is kind of the same, but there is some a little different format that I gotta use. So first is that we read the Google Sheet, and then I just limit it to just 1. So this could return like a 10 or 100 or whatever's inside the sheet. So this will just return every single thing that is inside the sheet. So let's say we've got 100, it would just return all of the 100, like whatever is inside. So in that case, we just use a limit, which just limits it to just 1. And after that, we've got the post information, which would be, so I'm just mapping the json.media, which is the URL of the file, and then the text that we're gonna post, the description basically. And then over here I've added let me show that I've got this just for the purpose of showing it to you. I've got this over here. So I've added the API of Cloud Convert and the username of Blusky and the password of that. All right, so I've just duplicated this so that I show you what is inside, but don't try to steal my password, okay, because it isn't gonna work. So I've got the real credentials for this inside this module over here at the top over here. And yeah, after that over here we would use Cloud Convert to convert the image to JPG. Previously we didn't need to use, we don't have to use the Cloud Convert for converting the image, because we've got this default within make.com. We only use Cloud Convert to optimize the file, to optimize the image, but that isn't the case, and that is not the case when we are using n8n. So we just gotta use Cloud Convert to convert the image to JPG. And after that, so I can show you how that the Cloud Convert API is another big pain. I mean, it is kind of easy, but it is a completely a different chapter. So I'll try to make another video for that and link it down in the description. But you know, the problem with this was there was an endpoint that says jobs in Cloud Convert. So I failed to notice that and I just try to use it in, so what jobs means in, making a big story short. What jobs mean is to do a list of actions one after the other. So it would be like we are giving it the URL, and after that we're saying it to convert the file and then export the file. So I never knew these jobs existed, and I was doing all these one by one, like one after the other. So I had a module for this, I've got a module for this one, and I've had another module for this one, and I had to add time delays for in between every single thing, and the scenario was pretty long. And then only I just discovered this. I was like, how the hell could it be so long? And then I noticed that they've got this jobs, and after that I just put in this one and it looks good. So I say convert to JPG. So let me show you that one. I mean, the one where I said the scenario was so big. Let me show that to you real quick. All right, here it is. So you could see that just for compressing the image, I had to use this big. And then for converting again the image, converting the, the format of the image, I had to use this. I mean, without using the jobs. So once I use the jobs, then, I've reduced it to this short one, or else just say, we just got to put this inside this and this one over here, and it would look pretty long, but still it would work. There's no doubt in that. It's all the same. It is going to work. I mean, it's an unnecessary thing, right? So we just got to use the jobs. So I'll make sure I'll make a separate video on that and link it down in the description. And yeah, so we convert the image over here, then we wait for a while, then get the results, and then we just download the, what is this? We then just download the image that Bluesky has given us, and then we just upload it into Drive. Because the reason we upload into Drive is to just get the image link of, to get the link of that specific image, we just download it over here. So because what happens was, when I'm trying to compress, when I try to give in this link that I get inside the Cloud Convert, it is not supporting it, that the URL that Cloud Convert gives us. Basically, Cloud Convert is rejecting the URL that it has previously returned. All right, so I'm just putting that inside, downloading it and putting inside Drive and making that as a Google Drive link. And then I just put the downloadable link, the web content view link inside this one. Yeah, web content link inside this one. And then I say compress, wait, get the results, and then we come to the Bluesky, which is we're gonna log in and download the image. Download the image that we just got from the final get results. Download the image as a buffer image, and then upload to Bluesky. And then at last, we're just creating the post by referencing the image that we just uploaded. All right, so it's pretty much the same, I guess, except for, I think for this one, while you're uploading the image, you gotta say n8n binary file and then just say data. And right before this module, you just gotta say download the image. When you just put data, it will just automatically reference the binary file, the binary data that was downloaded over here. So that's pretty much it. So I think we come to the end of the video. So let me try to run this once and show it to you all. So it converted the image. Now it uploads into Drive, gets the link, and now it is compressing it. And we're waiting for it to compress. And you know what? Okay, there's some error. I'll come to that. I was trying to say that I could have put the get results also inside the jobs. I don't know why I didn't do that for some reason. Maybe it didn't work or something. Yeah, I think you could also put the get results inside inside this jobs over here, and it should still work. But I didn't put for some reason. I don't know why. But we don't have to worry about that because everything works. except for this one, which I'm gonna check into it right now. See what it has said. Oh, this problem. Okay. The other thing is I've never really added, what is this flow that I did in make.com, and I never really added the second flow where if the length is greater than 300, it would reduce the chat. I mean, the ChatGPT would reduce the size and do that. So you could just try to do that. I think that isn't a big deal. So I think we just got to do that exactly. I think you could have a filter over here in n8n, and after that you could just duplicate this one, and you got to add a filter. I never really had a filter, so you should add a filter. Okay, let me show that real quick. Or you could use an if condition. You can say if, and let's say if the length is less than 300, you can move it to the top. If the length is more than 300, greater than 300, then you could just add an OpenAI module which message a model. You could use that. I'm not going to do that now. And then you could just connect it over here, and then you could just add this OpenAI result into this final post, and it should work. So for now, what I can do is to just show you all a quick a demo. Let me just delete these, move all these out. Let me link this back over here. So let me go to this Google Sheet right here. So I'm not sure which one it picked up. So it picked up row number 3, which is the right one, which is this one. So maybe I could just reduce this. This is where it actually takes the content from. This one is for Facebook and Instagram. So this one goes to both Twitter and Bluesky. So let me just try to delete this last line. Okay, because so that now I believe it should be less than 300 and it should work, right? So let me come back over here and say test workflow again. And now I'm pretty sure it should work. The previous case in the make.com also, like, the length was more than 300. So we sent it to ChatGPT and we just uploaded that while I didn't add the ChatGPT module in Bluesky. All right, it is success. Let me go to Bluesky now. Refresh. Yep, you could see the upcoming anime film, The Lord of Rings. Is that what is over here? Yeah, that is exactly over here. So we just made a post over here inside Bluesky. So I think I've shown you clearly how you could do it inside make.com, how you could do it inside n8n, right? So the only change, the major change that you got to do in make.com is connect your content. For example, if your content is coming from Google Sheet, it could be Airtable, like wherever you get them from, you just got to map them inside over here in the right way. So in the text field, you just got to map the actual text, the description or the captions of the image. And for the title, you can just give some title or some random name over here. That doesn't really matter. Or you could just say, you just put the date also in the title place. Or else you could use an AI, because I think the title could matter, because when I go back into the post, oops, you could see the title shows up over here. This is the title that I used, I guess. Yeah, that's correct. So it's better to use like you can use an AI to create the title for you. So since this is an RSS feed, I've got the title by default over here. For the second image, you could see it added a timestamp, because this was done from n8n, because in this platform called n8n, which is hard for me to pronounce, I've added the current time. Let me show that. My only concern is I just don't want my credentials to be exposed. Okay. Let me check them for you. Yeah, so you can see that in the alt, I just put the current time over here. I've just put the new date to string. I've just put the current time in this platform n8n. But when it comes to make.com, I've actually referenced the title. So, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. If you want your post to look very clean and someone tries to open it, you want the title to, you know, show in a professional, good looking way, you could try to just add a title over there. Yeah, so you could add a title over there, and then for the link, you just don't have to do anything with any of these because it would just get referenced from these. And yeah, that's it. I think you would only need to change the result, I mean the text, the captions, which is the description of the post, and the title. Okay. And the other thing that you gotta edit is this part where you just gotta replace it with your email ID and the password that you created for your Bluesky. And then of course, yeah, you just gotta set up your all these connections for add the API for Cloud Convert. You just gotta get the API and add it. And if you feel that your image is gonna be less than 1 MB, you could just remove that. But the rest of all is done, and then you could just replace this with whatever Airtable or any other database that you might have, or whatever type, you know, however your social media automation works. So this is it. And coming back to n8n, so this is something you gotta replace with your own database where you will get the content from. And then over here we've got, you just gotta map the information into this one where, like, let's say you've got Airtable over here. Okay, you just gotta map the data that you get from there, which is the media URL. In my case, it is called as media, so it comes as json.media. In your case, it could be json.url, any name that you've used. So just map the image link, which is the media, into this first one, and then the captions less than 300. So I've set less than 300 so that you're reminded that it should be less than 300. So you just got to map the description, which is the caption of the post, inside this one over here. And once you map that, you're good. And then you got to open the next one, and then, you know, add your API of Cloud Convert and add your Bluesky username and password. Yeah, and after that you're good. So, and then you just got to add the Google Drive credentials and connect your Google Drive into this one. So you could try to check in the internet for the tutorials to connect, how you can connect Google Drive to n8n. So if you've got any doubts, please leave it in the comments. I'm happy to help. And yeah, that's literally it. So all right, thank you so much then. So please do let me know if you've got any doubts. So I think I tried my best to explain how the Bluesky API works, and also I've given the templates for both make.com and n8n for completely free, so that you could just get them working within a few minutes or something if you've got the content database ready. All right, so let me know if you've got any doubts in the comment section. I'm always happy to answer them. I'll make sure that I answer each one of them, because I'm just a new beginner YouTuber, just getting started. So I'm always concerned about answering to all of the comments right now. But if you're watching this video after 2-3 years, I'm not sure. All right, thank you so much for your time, into taking your time into looking into this, and make sure you like, subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.